Welcome back, everybody, to Exotic Car Play Place on this fine Sunday morning, and welcome back to another series of Car News is Our News. Today we are going to dive into, that's right, the coronavirus, COVID-19 in other words, and we're going to talk about how that is actually impacting the automotive industry. It's taking a much bigger toll on automotive business than many people are willing to acknowledge. Let's get into it now. The fact that, I'm not a doctor, physician, I'm certainly not a medical expert, but I will share with you some of the basic information that I have heard, and then you take that for what it is. So what essentially has happened, it originated in China, allegedly, and it's a virus that is spreading extremely rapidly. It's spread through sneezing, coughing on somebody, touching somebody with a contaminated hand, whether you're putting hand to mouth or whatever, and you're exchanging that between people, very highly and easily spread. Once a person is infected with this virus, often it means a fever of anywhere from 102 to 104 degrees Fahrenheit, often means a dry cough. What it doesn't mean is, some people talk about congested head. If you have a head cold and you have the congested nose or ears, that generally isn't consistent with the typical symptoms of the coronavirus. It's also been identified and tagged as a pandemic now because of its rate of growth across the globe. It hasn't just stopped in China. It's really moved everywhere. It's hit North America. It definitely hit Europe very, very hard. As a matter of fact, you hear about Italy, who's essentially closed their doors on anything public. Everybody's on permanent lockdown, staying home for at least 2 weeks, because now they're talking about that being more or less sort of the incubation period of 2 weeks. If you get past that 2 weeks, often you're good to go. So hope that helps you a little bit. So now actually moving on to the actual impacts on a global scale, really what it looks like is everybody's moving to a lockdown mode of sorts. Businesses are closing. They're talking about closing schools. As a matter of fact, on a countrywide scale, they're talking about closing borders to people coming in or out. As a matter of fact, vacations are often cut short, or people coming back from vacations are having to stay at home for 2 to 3 weeks after they get back from vacation. Businesses have pretty much closed their doors in many cases, sent people home. There's a variety of impacts that it's going to have on a personal level, on a corporate level, but one thing is for sure, at a global scale, it's having a significant impact to the automotive business. So let's talk about some of those impacts. Specifically, one big one that I can think of on a very high level are automotive car shows. It's a place where manufacturers, for example, like the Toyotas and the BMWs and the Ferraris, are able to showcase their latest cars and parade them around for the public to see. This is a great way for the public to get in, touch and feel and smell and look and ask questions and possibly make purchases. Well, guess what? If these car shows are shut down, people are simply not going to buy. Number one, people are scared to go out in public at all. Number two, even if they do, car shows are the last thing on their mind right now. So I'll give you an example. The other day I was on the phone talking to a local salesperson on a local dealership here, and we got to talking about in Calgary, one of my adjacent cities nearby, they were started the car show, and then midway through they literally closed the doors and said, everybody go home, we are canceling the show. Since then, I've heard the Vancouver Auto Show has been shut down. Where I'm from, the Edmonton Auto Show has been postponed. Just to name a few, on top of one of the biggest one, the Geneva International Auto Show, which is a place where they feature some of the greatest new shining stars in the automotive business. New York Auto Show, which they've now said in a tweet that they've pushed it from April, probably sometime in August. Also give you a few non-automotive things that are being impacted. For example, SeaWorld's closing, as well as Universal Studios in Orlando and Hollywood are also shutting their doors. That is huge scale. Disneyland, Disney World are also closing their doors for the time being. On top of all of that, how about some racing venues that have been shut down as well, such as the Australian Grand Prix Gator Nationals, which is an annual drag racing event as well. On top of this, NASCAR is also being impacted, and they've said they've postponed race events that are normally occurring at the Atlanta Motor Speedway and the Homestead Miami Speedway over the next couple of weeks. They actually said that originally that they would still compete without the fans in the stands, but then changed their mind and said, well, it is really about the fans. How about sporting events like international soccer? For example, the England Premier League has postponed their season till April 4th. As well, US soccer and NCAA basketball tournament as well been postponed. You want a couple other doozies? How about the NHL, the Major League Baseball, and PGA Golf have all been impacted by this brutal virus. How about some other events from the FIM? They postponed the MotoGP Argentina Grand Prix, which was set to take place in April 17th to the 19th, now likely will be pushed pushed back to November. And now, would you believe the 12 Hours of Sebring race, which was scheduled for March 18th, is now likely going to be bumped into November as well. And also that highly anticipated 9th version of the Fast and Furious, which was scheduled to come out next month, is actually going to be pushed back into 2021 just because there's too much risk in revealing it right now, as people are trying to stay away from movie theaters and other crowded locations. So this is also taking a toll on the individual and the manufacturing process. For example, in Munich, BMW has now allotted to send 150 workers home from BMW factory because one tested positive for the coronavirus. Now they're out of commission for 2 weeks. On top of that, a small facility for Jaguar and Land Rover in the UK, which is its host country, actually had an employee recently test positive for the coronavirus and was asked to stay home for 14 days. So this coronavirus is actually taking a significant toll, not just individuals, but the bottom line for manufacturers. For example, Jaguar and Land Rover, not only did they have an employee go down, but they also have about an 85% slump in sales, bottom line, due to the China connection and the fact that they are really suffering due to the supply chain issues. As well as Ferrari decided to close 2 plants for a couple of weeks, Modena and Maranello, because of the outbreak of the COVID-19. Do you want one more? How about Lamborghini has actually decided immediately to close their plant in Sant'Agata Bolognese up until March 25th, just to be on the safe side because of this COVID-19. And in addition to this virus is taking such a stranglehold on industry, on a lot of this business, that as a matter of fact, other than the factory workers themselves, Ford, GM, Fiat, and Chrysler have all suggested all of their employees to go home and work from home until otherwise noted. This is happening everywhere. Automotive and manufacturing, all kinds of business, you name it. A lot of people are being forced on an individual basis to go try to work from home. Now, all those previously mentioned are typically retail or noticed by the public as the obvious, but there's lots on the background that tends to happen that is also grossly impacted by this virus. And because China is a major supplier to the tune of about $34 billion of parts and materials to automotive manufacturers, there is at least a 30 to 60 delay on supplying parts and materials and tooling, to the point where many manufacturers of automobiles are going to have to start scaling back production, and sales are going to be directly impacted by the lacking of supply chain and the parts that come from China. So amidst all of this massive global pandemic of the coronavirus or COVID-19, it is having a major impact on every aspect of life, automotive or non-automotive places of work. People are asked to stay home. Lots of times people aren't able to travel, or getting back home from travel is difficult. Automotive business is suffering because supply chain is drastically down. Retail sales are down. People don't want to travel. This is a drastic economic failure, as we know it, a catastrophic failure of sorts, to a magnitude that I have yet to ever see in my lifetime, and I've been around for some time. I hope that this turns around fairly quickly and that everybody gets back up to speed, quick, fast, and in a hurry, because the longer that this is down, the more significant of an impact this is having to you, me, and our neighbors. Thanks again, everybody, for hearing it out. I really hope you guys have some thoughts on the whole situation. Be sure to drop a line there in the comment section below if you do, as well as don't forget to hit the subscribe button over there and the notifications bell will let you know when the next great video is out. Hope to see you guys real soon. Can't wait. See you soon. Bye-bye.